Last week, I released a YouTube short and a TikTok showing Anna opening the Colosseum that she bought for only £300. I still can't get over what a good deal it was, but only £300 at Bricktastic earlier this year. Did a little bit of a jokey intro on it saying how she'd cost us £500. And oh my word, the comments, both here and over on TikTok, are like a thing from nightmares, with loads of people assuming that I'm a reseller and was genuinely angry and upset with Anna for opening the set because it cost us money and we should have kept it sealed and looked to sell it on and blah, 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 blah. I mean, firstly, it was Anna's set that she bought with her own money and could do what she liked with. It was just a jokey intro to a video showing that she was starting to build a set that lots of people had been looking forward to. And I think our regular viewers knew that, but it did kind of open my eyes to a wider issue within the Lego community of attitudes towards resellers and kind of putting them in the same bracket as the scalpers that you get in stuff like concert tickets and Pokémon cards. And I've been pondering it for a week or so, and I genuinely think Lego is very different when it comes to that kind of thing. And reselling is actually kind of a good thing in the Lego community. There are a couple of exceptions. We'll get the whole grabbing the rare collectible minifigs things off the shelves before they even go on sale. Those guys, they're monsters. That is traditional scalping. But on the whole, for normal Lego sets, I think resellers are actually providing a pretty valuable service. And this is why. And to me, the first and most obvious reason why it's very different to what you see in some other hobbies and some other fandoms is that Lego sets generally are available for years after they come out. It's very different to something like, and I come from a Pokemon card background, so I'll use Pokemon cards as an example quite a lot in this, but with Pokemon, they'll do a new release every few months. That new release will only be available for those few months, at least widely available anyway. And it does have a habit of selling out very quickly and each release being quite difficult to get hold of. Prices for resellers go up very quickly, and you would not usually be able to walk into a card shop a year and a half after a specific set is released and still be able to buy packs from that set at normal retail price. It's not the normal thing in Pokemon. Obviously, concert tickets to sports events, it's the same kind of deal. There's a limited number of supply. They're only available at a certain amount of time. They often sell out on the first day that they're available and they're never available again. So it is scummy to go out and buy 18 of them and sell them all on at a massive profit. But Lego is different, and Lego sets, like I say, are available for years. It's pretty unusual. It makes the news when you get sets that are only available for a year or so. I know with the current Formula One Speed Champions, they only released in March and are due to retire at the end of the year. So they're a little bit of a unique situation. And there's a few other things. I think some of the Fortnite stuff that came out last year is retiring at the end of this year. But on the whole, you would expect Lego sets to be available for at least a couple of years, sometimes much, much longer. For example, the current UCS Millennium Falcon, one of the big headline Star Wars sets, that released back in 2017. It's been available on store shelves for 8 years, and you can still go into the Lego store, into Smith's Toys, into wherever today and pick that set up at normal retail price 8 years after release. Now, it's had a few price increases over the course of that 8 years because you would expect it to, but it is still available at normal retail price. And I don't even think it's slated to retire this year. I think it's going to be around for a little while longer yet as well. But obviously there will come a time where that particular set does retire. And as we've seen with a lot of the Star Wars stuff that is now retired, that can increase in price pretty rapidly upon retirement. We all saw the craziness with the AT-AT when that retired at the end of last year. Lego actually put it on sale and it was pretty difficult to get hold of at that point, and now the price is already going up, and I imagine will continue to go up. And there are some Star Wars sets that have retired over the last few years that are now worth well into 4 figures, and it is bananas. But they were all available for ages. If you're a Lego reseller, you're not preventing anybody else from buying the set when it was available, like you would be with Pokemon cards or concert tickets or anything else. Trainers are another example. When a Pokemon set comes out, there'll be a certain number of sets available. If they all get bought, that's it. They're all gone. The only way to get them is to pay double the price on eBay or from a scalper. Even with the really, really popular Lego sets that sell out at launch, and we did see this with the Fortnite Battle Bus in the run up to Christmas last year, it did go out of stock, and I did see it at conventions for like £200 while it was out of stock in the Lego store, because obviously people wanted to be able to get it for their kids for Christmas. So you very occasionally do get Lego sets that sell out temporarily around launch time. Sometimes they'll slip onto back order if they're on a particularly good deal. I think the Jazz Club, the modular set, is on back order in the US till about June at the moment, off the back of it being really popular on the most recent double points day when you could get double points on it. It's a set that's retiring this year, so it's temporarily out of stock, but will be back. But going back to the Battle Bus as the example, yeah, that went out of stock when it first came out at the end of last year. If you'd have bought it from a reseller in December last year, you might have spent up to £200 on it. But if you'd have waited until January, it was in Costco for 60 quid, and it's still there now. There's loads of them. It's now available in shops other than Lego. It's widely available for below RRP. Yes, that set does retire at the end of this year, so you've got a slightly shorter release period than you would get for a normal Lego set, but there are still plenty of opportunities, including right now, where you can pick that set up just by walking into the shop, grabbing it from the Lego store at normal retail price, going to an alternate retailer, getting it below retail price. You can wait for sales. You can wait for double upload days. If a reseller decides to buy a couple of those to stick in their storage unit and pull out at a convention in 5 years' time, they're not stopping anybody else from going into the Lego store and buying it now. They're not hoovering up the stock. They're not restricting access for normal people to be able to go and buy the sets, which is what traditionally happens with scalping. Because that does highlight another important point when it comes to Lego and resale prices. When you have stuff like a really fancy sought after sneaker or watch or Pokemon card set or whatever it might be, their explosion of prices happens very quickly after launch because they're in limited supply, often deliberately because of the manufacturer. I mean, I am thinking again in terms of sneakers. I got myself a pair of Jordan 1 Spider-Verse limited edition shoes a few years ago. They went on sale at like 8:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning. By 8:35 they were sold out. It was a limited run. There were never going to be any more on sale from Nike. So I missed out and I had to get them on StockX for about £250 as opposed to the £150 I would have got them directly from the manufacturer. And that was the morning they came out. I was paying close to double, and I imagine the prices only continue to go up since then. But Lego is different because the Lego doesn't increase in price at launch. Let's, as an example, use, I don't know, Tudor Corner that came out on the 1st of January. Tudor Corner is now available in some places for less than you would have paid for it on the 1st of January. As to the best of my knowledge, it has never sold out. It has never been sold for above retail price. I've seen it at conventions for below 200. I think it was available on the double points event that happened recently as well. I'm not sure if it's gone to wider retailers than Lego just yet, but I'm sure when it does, it'll be available on discounts. We regularly see like the Boutique Hotel, the Jazz Club for £150 at John Lewis. So I expect to see it discounted, and it'll be available for the next 3 or 4 years. And at no point is that price going to go up above RRP. RRP might increase. Lego might put their prices up. We've seen that from Lego before. But there's never going to be a extended period of time where that set's not available and is costing more than retail price now. Lego becomes more expensive after it retires, when you can no longer buy it from anywhere else. You can't walk into a shop and buy it anymore. You can't buy it from the Lego website. It is theoretically no longer available. And that's when the price starts to increase, because that's when the people who did buy it and put it away, supply and demand, can then pull it out and say, well, actually, I do still have one of these sealed in its original box. I'm ready to sell it now. And obviously there's lots of people who want it because they can't buy it anywhere else. And that naturally forces up the price. So it's not artificially being forced up by lack of supply like you get in some collectibles. It's not being artificially forced up by somebody just going out and buying it all and ramping up the prices. It's more of a natural economy where while it's widely available, while it's being manufactured, it's a reasonable price. Whether Lego is a reasonable price is probably a different discussion, but it's the price Lego say it should be and stays that way for the length of its production run. And it's only after it theoretically shouldn't be available to buy anymore because it's not being made anymore and Lego aren't selling it anymore, that's when the prices start to go up. And I actually think at that point, the resellers are providing a service. Yes, it's a service that they're making a profit on, but they are also taking a risk and tying up money for a period of time by doing it. But for me, as somebody who rejoined Lego in the last 18 months or so after a long period of my dark ages and missed out on the entire modular run up until the Natural History Museum was the first one to release during my return to Lego. So I missed out on like 18 modular buildings. The vast majority of them had retired. I think there was like 5 that were available at normal retail. I think I got Assembly Square just before it retired, but like 10 of the modulars that I've bought in the last year were retired sets, and all but one of them I've bought brand new in box. And some of them pretty close to original retail price as well. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it hadn't have been resellers, if it hadn't been for resellers. They hadn't prevented anybody buying them when they first came out, but they allowed me, as somebody who had spent some time away from the hobby, to come back and still get these sets brand new in box that I wouldn't be able to get any other way. And personally, I don't begrudge them making a profit, no matter how big or how small that profit might be. Again, supply and demand dictates how much profit they're actually making. But like, I was able to pick up the corner garage for like, I think I got it for like £220 at a convention last year after it had retired. If that had still been in production, it would have been £199.99. So I paid £20 more than it would have cost. Now, I maybe paid £70 more than they paid for it whenever they bought it, but they've had to sit it on a shelf for 3, 4, 5, 6 years with that money tied up, and have basically bought it for me, saved it for me, and I've given them 20 quid as a thanks for saving that set for me that I didn't know exist. You've done a good thing. Thank you very much. I'm glad you were able to make a profit, and I'm certainly a satisfied customer off the back of it. And I think it comes down to like real scarcity versus artificial scarcity with these other hobbies, these other fandoms where scalpers have received this horrible, awful reputation. It's a combination of greedy manufacturers trying to generate hype by limiting the amount of the product that they make, which you certainly see in sneakers and watches and Pokémon cards, and there's probably other stuff that I'm not into where you see examples of that. They only release a limited amount because that way it builds hype. You have to be there. You have to get it on launch day or else you're going to miss out. You don't get that with Lego. They'll make as many as demand dictates they make. If they temporarily sell out, they'll just make more. But by and large, for a number of years, you will be able to walk into the shop and buy it because Lego want you to be able to have it. And then at some point, they have to retire it because if they didn't ever retire sets, they wouldn't be able to keep releasing new sets. It would just be the same stock forever because their factories only have certain capacity. Molds get taken in and out to fit into the factory, so certain pieces get retired, which means certain sets then have to retire. The stores are only a certain size. I mean, if they never retired a set, it's still, by the nature of the size of the stores, wouldn't all be available to buy on the store shelves because you wouldn't be able to fit it all in, or they just wouldn't be able to release new stuff. So we like getting new stuff, so that means the old stuff has to retire, and it's only at that point that you can't get it anymore. And that's like real scarcity, natural scarcity, like you get in actual legitimate collectible stuff rather than the stuff that has all been built up by hype, because people are still going to want it. I still want Cafe Corner. Now, I'm probably never going to get it because it's so old now. It's like nearly 20 years old, and there are so few of them still sealed in their boxes that it costs thousands of pounds to get a box fresh Cafe Corner at this point. So for me, as a Lego collector now in 2025, I wish there were more resellers, because I wish there were thousands more Cafe Corners sat gathering dust in somebody's storage unit so they were still available for 300 quid. That would be amazing. So if anything, there's not enough reselling going on in Lego. And I certainly, getting back to the original point from the start of the video, don't understand why, if I had have bought the Colosseum to sell it on, why that makes me the bad guy, because it's a set that is retired. And I mean, Anna has wanted that for a year. We've had a StockX buy price locked in at like £600 for most of the last year, which is way more than the set originally went for. And we were just waiting for one to drop cheap enough for us to buy what we felt was a comfortable level for it. And it's a set that goes for like £800. Yeah, we were able to pick it up at £300 at a stock clearance, and that's awesome. But if I'd have done that with the intention of selling it on, I mean, it's not as if that set was never available at a reasonable price for years and years and years. Anyone who really, really wanted it had the opportunity to go and buy it. And if anyone wants it new in box now, it's going to cost a little bit more because there's fewer of them available. I don't understand why Lego resellers are getting tarred with the same brush as scalpers in other industries. Again, I completely separate the minifig monsters, the people who are going and scanning all the minifigs and taking the expensive ones and immediately putting them on Facebook Marketplace for 5 times the price. That is scalping. I don't like that, and I could probably make another video just about that topic. But by and large, for Lego sets, I think resellers are a good thing, provide a service. And you've seen from the amount of videos where I've enjoyed going around Lego conventions and chatting to the traders and buying from the traders, I think it's great. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section. But for now, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for us. Subscribe to the channel for loads more Lego content, including, I am really going to try and get back to the Lego City soon. As I'm recording this, I have an appointment with a chiropractor this afternoon. So hopefully my back will be back in a serviceable state soon and I can get back to doing normal Lego videos. But for now, you've had to put up with at least one more Kev sat in a chair talking at your video. But I think it was a pretty good one. Thanks for watching.